Welcome to the weekly art show provided by the galleries of Granbury Square. I am Cynthia James with Artifacts, one of the galleries that exhibit art daily. The galleries are Artifacts, Lake Granbury Art Association, Langdon Cultural and Educational Center, and your private collection. We hope you enjoy this program, whose purpose is to let you know what is currently on display. It is also about education, since we also feature artists demonstrating their medium. Beside this show, we have special art shows and every month have last Saturday gallery night. That night we are open until 9 p.m. and have special activities and receptions. Hope to see you there this next month. Please go with me now to our first gallery.
Hello everybody, I'm Andrew Barris. We're coming to you today from Granbury Live. I'm flying solo today. Lee's Tekken team will not be joining me. She's been doing one of her yearly events called Warrenton, where she takes the truck full of loaded art and then she goes down there and sells it. And I understand it's a wonderful event, so if you ever get a chance, go down and see it. We wish Elise well, and we miss her here, but she'll be back soon. Wanted to come to you today on a couple of things that we've got going forward. We've got the Opera House is something I want to talk about today and get you guys up to speed on the amazing project that's going on over there. We've got our last production coming up inside Granbury Live, which is called Lucky Stiff, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And most of you all don't know that show, so I want to explain a little bit about that. We've got our season ticket campaign that's going on, and we've got some fun stuff there. We've got some great things on the square that are going on as well coming up. The Historic Granbury Merchants Association, which does a wonderful job here in Granbury on the square promoting all of the events here and getting folks to the downtown area. I've got two specific events that are coming up. Both of them are great, so I kind of want to touch on those. And then there's an organization that we partner with that we love that does an event as well called Divine Wine, which is karaoke, and we have a good time there. So these are kind of things that I want to talk about today, and hope everybody can get up to speed with us. So let's touch base first on what the Opera House is doing at this point. As you all know, the Opera House is scheduled to finish up at the end of this year. We continue to get incessant questions about whether or not that's actually going to occur. I'm over there on a daily basis, and the folks over there from Scott Tucker Construction are doing an amazing job. Rob over there, who's the foreman, has just kicked this thing into high gear. The front lobby is done. We've got the theaters built. All of it's framed. It's now going to be finished with drywall in the next few days here. So by the time this thing airs, it will have been finished. We start painting next week. All the theatrical things from the AV standpoint are starting to go in now, which is wonderful. If you don't know the layout, what we did originally was the building was about 100 feet long by 50 feet wide. And so we ended up extending to the south about additional 67 feet and then making a little bit wider at 110 feet. So the space that we were able to create in the backstage area is incredible. It's got dressing rooms, it's got a green room, it's got star dressing rooms, it's got a rehearsal space that's wonderful. It's got costume construction, it's got costume storage, and it's got plenty of facilities in the back for building set pieces and building properties. It's got a full basement that's downstairs, which on the original plans we didn't have, but we were able to get that in there, which we're very excited about. So it not only allows for a full orchestra to be involved, which we really would like to have in the future, it also allows for different set pieces to be able to come through the floor. You've got trap doors that will open up and people will come through there, or pieces of scenery will lift out of the floor. It's also got capabilities of having tracking of set pieces going on and off. The great thing about theater these days is that it's all based on speed. Right, we have, as a society, grown accustomed to not, waiting. Back in the day in the theater business, it used to be that a big grand drape curtain would drop down, and they'd put what they call an oleo act downstage of that, while the set was being changed upstage. So if you look at some of the Rodgers and Hammerstein pieces, Oklahoma, South Pacific, Sound of Music, that's generally how those things were done. They had enormous set pieces that were upstage with that grand drape, and then they would open that up. But people don't like that anymore. They want to see the scene changes in front of you. They like the speed with which the theater business goes. So transitions are a real key. So we've built this facility to make sure that transitions can happen as quickly as possible and in front of the audience. So we're excited about that. It's also got, what we tried to do in the facility was we really wanted to make sure that we were able to retain the original spirit of the building, which was built in the late 1880s. Well, it was opened up in the late in the 1880s. And it's a Victorian style. Originally it was Victorian, and over time it became a feed store, and there was a vaudeville stage that was in there. There was a bar at some point, and then in 1968 it became a full theater as Joanne Miller came in and did a renovation. They opened that up in 1973, and then successfully have done theater in there for a long period of time. So we want to retain that spirit, and in doing so we wanted to keep that Victorianism that's in there. Not an opulent Victorianism, but something that is still Victorian, and I think we've had some success in that respect. So the front lobby has a little bit more curvature to it than we've seen in the past. It's a little bit more open spaced. We obviously wanted to make sure that we were able to get all the ADA requirements in there, so we have, you know, more than one restroom. It's no longer on stairs. It's able to have, you can walk right in and go right into the restrooms. There are 8 for the women and there are 5 for the men. So I think that that will satisfy all the customers' needs at that point. 2 concession stands in the facility, a full service elevator that goes up to all 3 floors. So we feel like it's going to accommodate for the next long period of time all the theater needs, and we'll have room to grow as well. We're doing 3 events that are coming up that we can mention here. We've got one on the 17th of October that is going to be a sneak peek for folks that are coming in from the donor side and taking a look. We're doing some naming rights in the facility, and those folks that have been invited to that will come in. We've got a little show that we're putting on. And then on the Tuesday of that week, which I believe is the 22nd, we'll be doing a walkthrough for our season ticket holders and for the Opera Guild that's been so supportive of the organization and the building. And then that next Saturday, we'll have an open house for everybody involved to come and just walk through the facility before it gets finished up, so you all can see exactly what the building's going to be in the future for us. So we're excited about those. So put those on your calendar. If you get an invitation for those, please come and see us. We'll put on a little play for you. It'll be awesome to see how the facility is going to be used. We'll try to highlight that during that entire thing to make sure that you see this is, you know, what a Juliet balcony is. Someone will be singing from that. This is in the front lobby. You'll see a little orchestra quartet that's playing up there. You can also see on the stage maybe some Shakespeare potentially you'll see, and then down the pit maybe you'll see an orchestra conductor that is training up some of the folks that will be playing in the band. Maybe in the back at the stage area you'll see hair and makeup people and somebody working in costumes, and up in the rehearsal space perhaps you'll see somebody, you know, doing some dancing or something like that. So come and see those shows if you get a chance to. It'd be wonderful to have everybody come through before the facility gets finished. It's interesting for us because we do it on a daily basis, so we kind of know every square inch of it. But for folks that haven't had a chance to do that, I think it'd be an awesome opportunity. So please come and see us there. Also, we plan on opening up for the Granbury Theater Company Gala event, which is a fundraiser. That's going to be on the 5th of December. So put that on your calendars. We'll be doing an amazing event. We've partnered with the city on this and with the Opera Guild, and all 3 entities want to make sure that this is the best party that Granbury's seen for a long, long time, respectfully with all the other good parties that go on here. We're going to have a red carpet, black tie event, champagne. We'll have grandstands out in front of the Opera House, close down Pearl Street. Make sure that we've got a lot of dignitaries there, and a lot of the press will be there, and we'll put on a production that night. We're opening with A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens' story. And it should be pretty magnificent. We've got bands all over the place, lots of community support. Lots of folks from the community are going to be performing inside the Opera House prior to the event that night. So we're excited for that. So the tickets for that show are going to be $100. If you're a season ticket holder currently, then you can get your reduced price at $80. So please call us. We'd love to have as many people as possible come to the show. And if you're not coming to the show, we'd love to have you in the grandstands. We'll have grandstands in the parking lot in front of the courthouse, and that will be right next to the red carpet that's over across Pearl Street going into the theater. So that's going to be an amazing night. And then the next night, we've got First Night, which we usually do as our first night production. And that officially is when the theater company will open its season inside the Opera House. That's on the 6th. It's invited for all season ticket holders. We've got 309 seats in the facility. And we'd like to have all of the season ticket holders be there for that night. It as well is going to be a black tie event. So we'll have champagne and wine and cheese and blah, 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 to have a really good time together. So I think it's going to be a fun 2-night event to launch this Opera House that everybody's been looking forward to. We play that Christmas Carol production from the 6th all the way through the 21st. So we've got 19 or 20 shows that we'll be putting in there. And then once we close down for Christmas, then we'll open up the new year on New Year's Eve with 2 performances of Noises Off. It's a hilarious comedy, I think one of the funniest comedies out there. And that night will be just an amazing event. We've got 2 performances, one at 6:30 and one at 10:30. And at the 10:30 version, we actually stop the show. Balloons will drop. We'll have the countdown, the whole thing, and wherever we pick up after singing Old Lang Syne, then we go on with the show. So that's going to be a great night too. So come and join us. It'll be a lot of fun in there. Okay, so this is our last production that's coming up inside Granbury Live. We've loved to be here in this facility. We're going to miss it. It's been a nice little home. We've got our gallery, which of course this is the reason we generally get together, is to talk about the gallery. That will be coming to an end very soon here, and we'll definitely miss what we've considered to be a really good opportunity of conjoining 2 different art forms. It's been very interesting to see the folks that come in specifically for the gallery who are now interested in performance art, and the same thing vice versa. So it's actually done exactly what we'd hope it would do, and we'll miss that a little bit. We also will miss this little space. This has been a lot of fun. We've been here a year, and Lucky Stiff will be our last production inside here. It's a very intimate space. It's very homey, and we've been thrilled and pleased to be able to come in here and do some shows in here. So Lucky Stiff is an incredibly funny musical comedy. Actually, I'd say it's more of a musical farce. It's very much like a production that we did last year in Cash on Delivery. It's very farcical, Britishy humor, but with some of the greatest music that's out there. The folks that wrote this play, Aarons and Flaherty, also wrote Ragtime, Seussical, Once on the Silence. So the music is very rich, it's very beautiful, and it goes along with this incredibly funny farce of a story. It almost feels like a melodrama. It almost feels like a murder mystery, because there is somebody that's murdered and we have to figure out who it is. So if you like that style, it's very campy, it's very broad, it's very bold. You're really going to love this piece. So come and join us for that. We open up on the 18th of October, and it plays through November 16th. So we play every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30, and on Saturday matinees they start at 3:30. Tickets are $20 for adults, $17 for senior citizens and students, and $15 for children 12 and under. All right, I want to mention a couple things about the 2 events that are coming up on the square. We've got the Harvest Moon Festival. Like I'd mentioned, we open up our production on October 18th of Lucky Stiff. Harvest Moon Festival is on the 19th and 20th, so that weekend, which is a wonderful event. And then we've got the Candlelight Tour of Homes. So like I'd mentioned, we open up our show, the Granbury Theater Company's gala event will be on December 5th. December 6th is when we do the Candlelight Tour of Homes. If you haven't had a chance to come to that, it's a wonderful event. Lots of great homes have been opened up this year. We're thinking potentially of doing the Opera House as well. And people come in from out of town or from in town, and they take a look at some of these homes that are on the tour. And there are so many great places here. And this is one of the first things that I did when I got here to Granbury, was to take a look at a lot of these homes. And you'll love it. So please come to that event. Divine Wine is a fantastic organization. Josh and Tony and Diane are doing a great job, and all their staff over there. They have karaoke nights that are tremendous, and they do them every 2 weeks. Please go and join. It's just an amazing event. We have a fun time. We generally go after the show and support it, and there are a lot of folks that do. And if you're looking for some fun here in Granbury, that's always a good time. They've got wonderful wine over there, and even if you don't go to a karaoke night, they've got a great staff, and it's a great environment. The wine over there is excellent. So go and take an opportunity to have a good night out over at Divine Wine. So this has been fun. I think we have one more installment that we'll get Elise back in here, and she and I will chat about the artwork if we've got any new artists inside the gallery. We appreciate all your support over there. It's been far better supported from a sales standpoint than I guess we ever imagined. We were putting a gallery up there because we wanted to have another use for the facility, and there are wonderful artists here in Granbury that should have their work shown. We never, I guess, imagined that there were going to be so many people that wanted to buy the work. It's a natural thing, but we're thrilled to have had that. So we'll have Elise back next time. We'll talk for the last time here in Granbury Live. Potentially we'll take a trip over to the Opera House and maybe take some shots inside there, give you a sneak peek of how it's all going. You're going to love it. So get prepared for something that we feel is going to just continue the beauty and the culture inside of Granbury and really revitalize what's going on downtown here on the square. So for that I say thank you for your time, and come to the theater, come to the Opera House, come and support the arts, and take care.
Just a couple of other things. We do have perhaps a couple of latecomers, so if they come in, just make a spot, or point them to a chair where they can sit. How many of you have heard of our empowerment page on Facebook? If not, we got a couple. Okay. If not, and if you do Facebook, we're there. So you just go to Facebook, I think groups, and no? Backslash groups. You can tell.
Backslash in speaking of empowerment.
There you go. We are very grateful that you all took time to come and spend an hour with us today. Cynthia and I have been doing this now for about 3 months, and we have been having the time of our life. So far, we have spoken at civic groups meetings. Our first venture was for the Optimist group, and if you know the Optimists, that's a group of men who meet at 6:30 in the morning. So that was a true baptism. But needless to say, we got invited back, and they want us to come in the spring and talk about some more motivation.
To help them fundraise, we think.
Yes, we think, right.
To get the women geared up, help them fundraise.
How many are here that perhaps have recently changed their lifestyle, like recently retired? I got to get my glasses. Retired. Okay, all right. How many of our guests are still working, either at home or outside? Okay, good. All right. Well, I really want to say thank you to that group, because we know your time is precious. So thank you so much for coming. I'm Jerry Lowry. My partner in crime is Cynthia James. And we are going to spend the next hour having a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about passion. And we're going to be talking about what might be tugging in your heart, things that maybe you have always kind of wanted to do, but never took those steps to go out there and make your dream come true. Can everybody hear me? Okay? All right. If not, just we're informal, just put your hand up and say, Jerry, I can't hear you. If you have a cell phone, you want to put that on airplane mode. And while you're doing that, this is what I call, here's the prompt, okay? Cynthia and I are going to each be talking to you for a little while about our own stories and how we became empowered women. And while we're doing that, we would like you to think about perhaps yourself or someone you know that might have gone through the same steps that Cynthia and I have and followed their own dream, made it, thought, someday I'm going to do that, but they actually did it. And because when we're all done talking, we would like to share some of these stories. And we're not going to say, okay, you got to stand up and talk about it, but it encourages us to talk a little more and get a two-way thing going as to how we can help each other go from here to there. My passion is writing. Cynthia's passion is her art. And I know many of you have been in Cynthia's store right here on the square, Artifacts, and recognized her beautiful talent. So she's going to be talking about that. I need to ask a few questions. How do we find our passion? Where do we get it from? And then once we have it, how do we get from there to here? What does it take to follow your dream and to find your passion? The thing that both Cynthia and I have recognized is that you have to be empowered to find your passion and just take steps forward with it. So let's talk about this empowerment thing. Looking at the definition, if you go to the dictionary, you're going to find that there's 3 definitions. The first one is to delegate. So I'm going to give you this $20.
All right.
I want you to go to Las Vegas and place a bet for me because I can't go. So you go. I have just empowered Joan to go to Las Vegas and place that bet for me. How'd we do?
Not well.
Oh.
You picked the wrong person.
Okay. Second definition, to authorize. You have a house. You want to sell it. You're going to call a real estate agent and you're going to say, come see my house. I want to sell it, list it, and sell it for me. You have just empowered that real estate agent to do that for you. The third one is the tricky one, to enable. Wealth empowered him to lead a very comfortable life. Now, if we exchange the word wealth for desire, and we use the same sentence, desire empowered him to lead a very comfortable life. That's the kind of empowerment that we're talking about. We operate from the platform of desire, okay? Because neither one of us made a lot of money. So,
We're working on it.
but we're working on it. So, desire is empower. Since Cynthia and I have been together and talking about this project, we have had many conversations, and we have discovered that there are components to this empowerment process. There are 6 words that always surface again and again and again. Love, trust, belief, time, motivation, and last but not least, patience. Okay? My story. I did not plan to write a book. 3 years ago, my husband and I retired. And we moved to Granbury. And I said to my husband, get ready, because I am now going to do all of the things that I wanted to do, but never had the time to do it. And he, said, oh, yeah, Jer, sure, I know, you've said that before. I said, listen, I'm sitting down, I am making a list, of all the things I love to do and that I would like to do. And so I did. I started. I made a list of the things I always loved to do. I love to sew. and create. And I always wanted to knit. Always wanted to learn how to knit, but I never had the time. Marriage, children, family, careers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Next thing I knew, 45 years had gone by. And so it began. I joined a group of knitters who gathered here on the square in a loft in Cynthia's shop, Artifacts. And up in this loft, there was a large French country table that women would gather around. You know, knitters gather. You know, a lot of people join, knitters gather. And every Tuesday afternoon, they would gather and knit and share stories about their lives and their passions and their experience and their background. And you know what? I loved this. I had never met such an incredible group of women. He's scared to death. I thought that might happen. As I said, I love this. Besides knitting, I discovered newfound friends. They provided me with support and trust and belief that I could really learn to do something new like this. And so I started knitting, and it was only a matter of time that I gained the confidence that I needed. I could have a ball with this. So in no time at all, I finished my first scarf. I was empowered. I was motivated. I was so motivated that I didn't plan this, but I started writing about the wonderful times that I had at that gathering table. One Tuesday afternoon, Dana, I think you were there. I walked in, and long table, in the middle of the table, sitting in a clump of yarn balls and yarn accessories, were 3 little rats. They were kind of all lined up. That's Sir Reginald. They were all lined up, and I walked over and I picked one up and I said, "This is the cutest thing I ever saw. Where did this come from?" Well, the owner of the shop said, "Well, I made them. And I make teddy bears for a living. And if you can make a teddy bear, you can make a rat. Would you like to learn?" So I said, "I want to make a rat," you know. And going all the way around the table, "I want to make a rat. I want to make a rat." 9 women formed the first rat class in Granbury, also known as Granville. Well, for weeks, the ladies came. Every Tuesday afternoon, we gathered to make our rats. They went by, and the knitters turned into makers. And the makers, as you will find if you've already read the book, the makers made the rats in their own image. We discovered this after they were 3/4 of the way done. And each one has a personality, and they took the personality of their makers. So the knitters turned into makers, turned into rats. Voila, the rats of Granville, right here. The book took about a year to write, and it was published in December of 2012. And I am now finishing up the second of 3 books in the Rats trilogy, and it will come out December this year. So I'm almost there. I'm almost there. The last stage of the empowerment process is patience. And I've really got to refer to my notes here. Even though you think you're empowered, even though you really are empowered, you don't just write a book and be successful. Publishing is hard. And if you've ever written anything and you wanted it to get published, it's a challenge. I spent 2 months sending letters to every publisher in New York City. Wrong place for a group of rats, right? But you learn these steps along the way. It's a very humbling experience to be turned down by everybody you know, right? I learned something. I learned that today, in 2013, everybody is a writer. It's not like it was 40 or 50 years ago. Everybody is a writer. I'm not famous. I'm not rich. I'm not a football player. I'm not a Hollywood movie star. I didn't shoot anybody. Nobody gets raped in my book, shot, dismembered, murdered. There's no vampires. And there's not even one little shade of gray. But I knew there was an audience out there for my Rats book. So I just kept trucking. And I said, okay, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Publisher in New York City, if you won't publish my book, said the little red hen, I'll just do it myself. And I did. And before I wrote the big check to New York City Publishing, I took pre-orders. I called all my friends, my knitter groups, everybody that I knew, and I told them that I was writing this book, and it was about a group of phenomenal women in Granbury, Texas. Would you like to get on my list to buy one? They stood up, they signed up, and I was covered. By the time the box of books hit my porch, I had them all paid for. And to this day, there are never enough thank yous for that. And they helped me get started in that way. So that's where all of those stages come in. By the way, is there a national publisher here in the group? It's still available. Think about my story. I retired. I made a list of the things I loved to do and wanted to do. Keep in mind, it's not a bucket list. It's things that you want to do right now, or you've been thinking about it. It's been tugging away at you. Someday I'm going to do that. I made that list. I learned to knit. I discovered newfound friends. I trusted and believed in myself that I could do this. In no time at all, I finished that scarf. I made a rat in my own image. Je parle français. Il parle français. He only speaks French. I was motivated to write a book. I developed patience to keep going. And here I am today, empowered and talking with you. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Those happen to be the first words in the book. Who would have thought? Maybe you have an empowerment story. Remember my prompt, right? So be thinking about that. I'm going to close with a short story. About 3 months ago, I attended a ladies' fashion show here in Granbury at a women's club luncheon meeting. And the commentator of the fashion show was part of the staff of a very fine spa in Austin. And at the close of the fashion show, she told everybody that, you know, at the spa on the last night where our guests stay, we put a card on their pillow. The cards are all different. We don't know what's on the card or who the guest was, but we put that card on their pillow, just like, you know, like a little chocolate. And each guest goes home and calls the spa and says, how did you know? How did you know to put that card on my pillow? It was the perfect card. And at that point, she asked 3 ladies to come up from the audience, and she gave them a whole deck of cards. And they went around to the audience, and they said, pick one. And they went to everybody. And so I picked this one. Notice the turquoise? It just caught my eye, you know. So I'm going to read you my card, and you tell me if you don't think that I got the right one. The point of power is always in the present moment. The past is over and done and has no power on me. I can begin to be free in this moment. Today's thoughts create my future. I am in charge. I now take my own power back. I am safe and I am free. Isn't that great? I just love my card.
I want to thank you for enjoying this show and to watch the next 2 episodes, because I'm going to continue in this work. As you can see behind me, I have combined not only the copper but the glass as well. And I'm hoping to even in the future work with the copper in bigger areas to include it into my sculptures. I also want to invite you to come out the last Saturday of every month for Last Saturday Gallery Night. We have a lot of fun and we love to talk about art.
Hello and welcome back to the Dora Lee Langdon Center. I'm Joel Back, the program coordinator, and I'd love to welcome you to this October show, Reflections of Nature and Life, featuring Tarleton alum Rebecca Jones. Rebecca is a recent graduate of the Tarleton State University, and as you'll see from the images, she's got a lot of works from both her student life and her new professional life. And as we do every October, this month on the Sunday the 20th at 2 p.m., we will have our annual Jazz on the Green concert, featuring the Tarleton Jazz Ensemble and the Langdon Center Big Band. Join us out on our wonderful lawn at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Bring a blanket, some food, some beverages, and join us for a great time. We will also be selling Jazz on the Green commemorative t-shirts for $10. All the proceeds go to the Tarleton bands that this summer will be traveling to New York City to perform. It's a wonderful cause and a wonderful benefit, and we'd love to see you on Sunday, October 20th at 2 p.m.
The Galleries of Granbury hope you enjoyed this program. Please let us know other items you would like included in our weekly program. We also would love you to visit us in the galleries.